She heard a signal from space, and it sent back Hitler's voice. What happens next will make you question everything we know about aliens, God, and reality itself. From a young age, Ellie's fascination with the cosmos and radio frequencies was unshakable. She would eagerly spend entire afternoons at her radio, reaching out to distant parts of the world just for the thrill of making contact. Each successful connection was carefully marked on her ever-expanding map. Her father, her greatest supporter, often joined her in stargazing sessions, peering into the universe through a telescope. Ellie harbored a dream of one day communicating with extraterrestrial life, but in quieter moments, she pondered whether a radio could bridge the gap between the living and the mother she never knew. As the years passed, Ellie transformed her passion into a career. Now a scientist dedicated to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, she worked at the renowned Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico. Just as in her childhood, she spent long hours monitoring radio transmissions, hoping to uncover signals that would confirm the existence of intelligent life beyond Earth. Among her colleagues, her blind coworker, Kent, admired her persistence, noting that few people in the modern world took the time to simply listen. Ellie resumed her old habit of mapping the areas she had scanned, one star at a time. One afternoon at a restaurant, Ellie was approached by Palmer, a writer investigating how technology influences developing nations. He attempted to give her a small plastic compass, which she politely returned. Their conversation quickly turned engaging, and after some playful exchanges, they agreed to meet again. That evening, a gathering was held at the observatory, attended by government officials, including David, a presidential science advisor who viewed the project as a financial burden rather than a pursuit of knowledge. As Ellie passionately defended the importance of scientific discovery, Palmer unexpectedly stepped in to support her argument. However, when David addressed Palmer as father, Ellie's enthusiasm dimmed. She later confronted Palmer, who clarified that while he had studied theology, he had chosen a secular path, focusing on humanitarian efforts supported by religious organizations. Although skeptical, Ellie found herself drawn to him. Under the vast night sky, she shared the story of how her father had inspired her journey into astronomy. A connection blossomed between them, leading to a night of intimacy and a deep philosophical discussion. Palmer spoke of faith, while Ellie insisted that every mystery had an explanation rooted in science. As their conversation shifted to Ellie's past, she hesitated, revealing that both her parents had passed away. Her mother at childbirth and her father when she was 9. The memory was painful. The next morning, Ellie recalled the night her father had died. She had rushed to retrieve his medication from upstairs, but by the time she returned, it was too late. At the funeral, a priest had attempted to console her by calling it God's will. But Ellie rejected the notion, believing instead that a simple change, keeping the medicine downstairs, might have saved him. In her grief, she had turned to her radio, attempting to reach her father one last time. Back in the present, Kent delivered devastating news. Their funding had been cut, and their research was being shut down. Enraged, Ellie confronted David, who dismissed her work as a waste of time. Defeated but determined, Ellie decided to seek private investors. Ignoring the compass Palmer had left for her, she focused on securing a future for her research. For over a year, Ellie faced rejection after rejection. When she finally presented her case to the executives at Haddon Industries, they dismissed her vision as fantasy. Frustrated, Ellie reminded them that history was built on ideas once considered impossible. Just then, a call from the elusive CEO, Haddon himself, changed everything. He agreed to fund her work. For years later, Ellie remained in New Mexico, overseeing an advanced network of satellite arrays. But trouble loomed. Kent informed her that mounting pressure from the scientific community threatened their project's survival. Despite Haddon's financial backing, the government-owned telescopes were slated for reassignment to more lucrative ventures. With only 3 months left before the shutdown, Ellie refused to give up, but Kent suggested it might be time to accept defeat. Meanwhile, Palmer had gained prominence as a spiritual counselor at the White House. His book on technology's impact resonated with many, though Ellie noted that his media appearances often critiqued society's over-reliance on computers rather than seeking deeper meaning. Then, one evening, everything changed. A rhythmic signal pulsed through Ellie's receivers. Overcome with excitement, she summoned her team and provided coordinates. They scrambled to maximize their equipment, fine-tuning the satellites for a clearer reception. The signal originated from the Vega star system, 26 light-years away. If authentic, this meant the message had been traveling for decades. Just as hope threatened to wane, the transmission resumed. Ellie realized the pulses corresponded to prime numbers, an unmistakable sign of intentional communication. The team debated their next move before alerting the world. The following morning, the observatory was swarmed with reporters and government officials. The National Security Council, led by Kitts, was displeased that the discovery had been made public. However, for once, David defended Ellie, arguing that without global collaboration, the signal might have been lost. As analysis continued, Kent identified an embedded secondary signal. When decoded, it revealed an eerie broadcast, footage of Adolf Hitler's 1936 Olympic opening speech. Shock rippled through the White House. This transmission had been the first televised signal strong enough to leave Earth's atmosphere, and now it had been returned as a greeting. The government swiftly announced contact with extraterrestrial intelligence while downplaying the unsettling connection to Hitler. Ellie, eager to address the world, was sidelined as David took the spotlight. Public reaction was overwhelming. Protests erupted, religious movements surged, and conspiracy theories flourished. Some saw it as a divine sign, while others feared an existential threat. Cults formed, and health officials worried about an increase in mass self-injury. Ellie was baffled by opportunists selling UFO abduction insurance and dismayed by the rise of extremists like Joseph, who spread fear and division. Then, one night, an email arrived from an anonymous sender. The subject read, "Take me to your leader." Ellie's curiosity piqued. She replied, "Who are you?" A swift response followed, cryptically stating, "I have a secret," alongside an excerpt of the alien transmission. Suspecting a hacker, Ellie grew frustrated, until she received a phone call and a fax summoning her for a confidential meeting. Moments later, a helicopter whisked Ellie away to a private jet, where she finally met the elusive Haddon. The enigmatic billionaire, who lived aboard his airborne sanctuary, revealed himself as the sender. He had monitored Ellie's work closely, considering her one of his greatest investments. Haddon loathed bureaucracy's stranglehold on science, seeing both government and religious interference as obstacles to progress. With a knowing smile, he played a video, Ellie's life and achievements condensed into a digital dossier. Then he unveiled his own findings. Unlike the government, he had successfully deciphered the alien message. As the screen flickered to life, Ellie stared in awe. The data, arranged in 3 dimensions, revealed a blueprint, a design far beyond human comprehension. The following day, Ellie stood before government officials, unveiling the groundbreaking revelation. Embedded within the alien transmission was a meticulously detailed set of blueprints for an unidentified machine. The purpose of this device remained a mystery, sparking intense debate. Some feared the potential dangers of constructing it, while others saw it as an opportunity to unlock profound cosmic truths. The discussion quickly veered into theological territory, with many questioning the implications for faith and existence. Ellie was taken aback when Palmer arrived, advocating for a balanced approach between science and belief. The room fell silent as the president entered, listening carefully to each argument before making a decision. That evening, the observatory hosted a celebration marking this pivotal moment in human history. However, beyond the gates, waves of protesters gathered, including the ever-outspoken Joseph, who condemned the scientists for squandering taxpayer money. As Ellie engaged in another philosophical exchange with Palmer, he challenged her perception of proof, asking her to demonstrate how she knew she had loved her father. The question left her momentarily speechless. Their conversation was cut short when breaking news flashed across television screens. Analysts had deciphered the machine's true function. It was a spacecraft designed for a single passenger. A state of urgency gripped the White House. An emergency summit was convened, where world leaders agreed to undertake the project as a global endeavor, sharing both its risks and financial burdens. A selection committee was swiftly formed, tasked with choosing the ideal candidate for the voyage. To Ellie's surprise, David stepped down from his advisory role, announcing his candidacy for the mission. As the media dissected every aspect of the project, debates raged about the costs, national representation, and the selection process. 10 finalists emerged, with 1/3 being American and Japan opting out of sending a candidate in exchange for exclusive rights to system integration. When Ellie appeared on a televised panel, she passionately defended the mission, arguing that the aliens wouldn't have sent them faulty instructions. Despite her assurances, the leading astronaut in contention withdrew after his children begged him not to go. Later, Ellie confided in Palmer about the implications of time dilation. While only 4 years would pass for the traveler, 5 decades would elapse on Earth. To her, the trade-off was worthwhile if it meant unraveling the universe's greatest mysteries. The conversation turned intimate, leading to another moment of closeness between them. On the day of the final interviews, Ellie performed exceptionally well. The committee was prepared to conclude their deliberations when Palmer unexpectedly posed a question about her atheism. The inquiry cast her in a negative light, subtly swaying opinions. In the end, David was chosen. That evening, Palmer visited Ellie to explain his reasoning. He couldn't endorse someone who dismissed the beliefs of most of humanity. Heartbroken, Ellie returned the compass he had once gifted her and shut the door on him. At Cape Canaveral, the spacecraft's construction progressed rapidly, drawing massive crowds. Extensive testing was conducted using robotic simulations to ensure the safety of the pilot. On launch day, Ellie watched as David prepared for the historic journey. Before stepping into the control room, he told her he wished that her idealism had been enough, but the reality of the world demanded profitability. As final system checks commenced, Ellie noticed something unusual: a suspicious figure near the launch pad. Recognizing Joseph in disguise, she urgently alerted security. Chaos erupted as personnel rushed to intercept him, but the warning came too late. Joseph triggered a combustive device, igniting a devastating blast that obliterated the spacecraft, unalived multiple engineers, including David. The catastrophic event sent shockwaves through the crowd, prompting mass panic. In the following days, the fallen were honored in solemn ceremonies. News channels aired Joseph's recorded manifesto, in which he claimed his actions were meant to preserve humanity. Ellie, still reeling from the disaster, returned home to an unexpected surprise. Awaiting her was a set of machines linked to a secure communication line. As she activated them, a video call initiated, revealing Haddon aboard the Mir space station. Now in his final days due to terminal illness, he had chosen to spend his remaining time in orbit. Haddon had one final revelation. Zooming in on a facility in Hokkaido, Japan, he revealed the existence of a second, identical spacecraft, secretly constructed by his subsidiary. Without hesitation, Ellie boarded a private jet bound for Japan, where she was welcomed into the program. The new team guided her through rigorous training, briefing her on every protocol, including an emergency capsule containing poison, a precaution long provided to astronauts in case of inescapable mission failure. As launch preparations intensified, Palmer made a surprise visit, returning the compass. He confessed that his vote against her had been driven by fear, not of her lack of faith, but of losing her forever. Meanwhile, the existence of the second spacecraft became public knowledge, yet no journalists were permitted near the launch site. On the fateful day, Ellie, suited up and fitted with a live-feed camera, stepped into the spacecraft. From behind the scenes, Palmer arranged for Kent to send her a farewell message. As the countdown neared completion, Ellie observed a peculiar glow enveloping the ship. Though her instruments failed to capture it, she theorized that an electromagnetic field was distorting the visuals. The anomaly intensified, and the vessel became momentarily translucent. The control team panicked as the ship's readings fluctuated beyond measurable limits. Despite their concerns, Kent discerned Ellie's voice through the interference, affirming that she was ready. The launch commenced. As the ship accelerated, powerful currents erupted in the surrounding waters. Then, in an instant, Ellie was catapulted into an ethereal expanse of cosmic brilliance. What followed was beyond comprehension. Vibrant lights gave way to a surreal tunnel, twisting through space like a living entity. Ellie speculated that she had entered a wormhole, narrating her experience despite losing contact with mission control. After encountering radiation remnants, she emerged before Vega. But before she could process the sight, the ship was propelled through another series of tunnels, distorting her perception. As the intensity peaked, the compass floated from her grasp. She reached for it, causing her restraints to snap just as the ship's systems failed. In darkness, she activated a flashlight, revealing a mesmerizing celestial event she could not identify. Then a sudden shift. Ellie found herself descending onto a picturesque shoreline, identical to a childhood drawing she once made. Testing her surroundings, she discovered an invisible force resisting her touch. Moments later, a figure approached, her father. Overcome with emotion, she embraced him, only to realize he was not real. The entity explained that it had taken a familiar form to communicate. Ellie learned that the universe teemed with civilizations, and humanity had initiated first contact through its own broadcasts. The machine she traveled in was ancient, constructed by an unknown race. The alien reassured her that this was merely the beginning. Humanity had taken its first step toward joining the interstellar community. As their conversation ended, Ellie watched a celestial spectacle unfold before her. A brilliant flash consumed her vision, and in an instant, she found herself back in the spacecraft, descending into the Pacific near Japan. A frenzy erupted as the team recovered her. They claimed the mission had failed. The ship had never left Earth's atmosphere. Ellie insisted otherwise, recounting her experience in vivid detail. However, all recorded footage was static. Government officials, led by Kits, subjected her to intense scrutiny. Without tangible evidence, her story was dismissed as delusion or fabrication. Worse, Haddon had passed away, fueling suspicions that the entire endeavor had been an elaborate false information. Heartbroken yet unwavering, Ellie pleaded for belief, not with data, but with faith. Her words of wonder and humility struck a chord with Palmer, who publicly voiced his support. Privately, Rachel informed Kits of a classified revelation. The ship's camera had recorded precisely 18 hours of static. 18 months later, Ellie had resumed her work, leading a newly funded program with expanded resources. School children frequently visited, eager to learn. As they asked her about the mysteries of the universe, she smiled, encouraging them to seek their own answers. And so, her journey continued, not in space, but in the boundless pursuit of knowledge. In the end, she came back with no proof, just a story. But maybe that's exactly how the universe works. Not everything can be measured. Some things are meant to be believed. So the question is, if you heard the stars whisper back, would you believe it?